Welcome once again to the newest edition of 3 and 3 Out. I'm your host, Clinton Bonner. Find me out on Twitter at Clinton Bon. I am joined by the one, the only, the great Brandon Schultz. Find him out on Twitter at Seahawkers Pod. Now, Brandon, you might be, and in fact, you are the one, the only, the great Brandon Schultz. But I can tell you what was not great, Brandon Schultz, and what was not great is breaking our 13-game home winning streak and losing 33-30 in an overtime disastrous loss to a inferior Tennessee Titans team. It has me infurious still less than 24 hours later. How are you feeling? It's still kind of fresh for me, and I'm still not feeling so good. How about you, Brandon?
No, still not over it. We have to do this. I mean, I guess we don't have to do it, but we're doing it. It's part of the healing process, and it was infuriating because the Seahawks led for so much of that game, and yes, they had their opportunity to win their 13th straight home game, and they were right in position to do it, and instead, they end up losing to the dang Titans.
Yeah, and I was, I've showed everybody before on 3 and 3 Out. For those that don't know it yet, if this is your first one, well, buckle up, buckaroo, because here we go. There was a whole lot on the outside of the ledger. When I got done with this game, like when it was 30-23 in the Discord, I was like, man, right now the ledger was perfectly even when we were up 30-23. So you know how the game ended. So I could just let you, in on a little secret. The ledger ended up being more heavily slanted to the outside, which perfectly correlates.
Really?
Yeah. Go figure, right?
You didn't have a lot of ins in the last, 10, 15 minutes of the gameplay.
We played one good quarter. It was a great quarter, but we played one good quarter. We're going to get into all the ins and all the outs, and we don't get to do the fun thing. We have to start on the crappy side, the sober yin side. We don't get to talk about the rule. We don't get the brand in. We get none of that. And, winners get sprinkles, and we lost a stinking game. So we're going to start with an out. Why don't we hop on over to it? What do you say? All right, I'm going to take a drink.
I didn't say anything. Now you asked me what I'm going to say. Take your drink, and I can lead into this out while you get your drink. And and there's probably, it's a good thing we limit it to 3 ins and 3 outs, especially when we start with an out, because keeping this to 3, it's not easy.
It's not easy, and we're going to get into it, but it's infuriating because it was self-inflicted, because it was sloppy, because it was undisciplined, because it was untimely, and we still should have won the darn game. We're a better team than they are, and away we go. A loss is a loss. Now I could reflect and say they gave us a 17th game this year. All is not lost in week 2 heading into week 3.
This is the 17th game. You throw out the worst game, and this is it.
Right. Those are the rules, right? New rules. That game doesn't count. But we have to start with we're starting with out. So I'm gonna 2 birds, 1 stone this thing here. And it's not a particular play. We are going to get into those later. It is more of a space and time thing. And the thing that comes up for me, Brandon, is like during our what if session with Mr. Phil Leidick earlier in the week. Mr. Phil said, hey, if this game's close, if this is a close game, like what's going wrong for our Seahawks? My answer was, well, we're going to be hearing this name McNichols way too much, these little dump offs over the middle and just keeping drives going. We're going to hear Jeremy McNichols. Your answer was, well, I think Russ probably has made some bad decisions if that's the case. They're both freaking right. We were both right in the worst possible way. And what I want to point to as my first out is, why on offense did we abandon the middle of the field? No targets to Chris Carson, no targets to a tight end. And why on defense did we abandon the middle of the field? So the middle of the field, it's not its fault, but it carries the out. That's where I'm starting.
The out goes to the middle of the field for sure.
Yes.
In the second half, I know that I felt like I was calling every single one of the Titans plays because there were 2 plays that they ran the entire second half. It was handoff to Derrick Henry, or it was drop back, allow everybody to run down the field, and then Derrick Henry would set up in front of Bobby Wagner, or whatever, or maybe it was McNichols would set up
Yeah.
right in front of Bobby Wagner, and then they take a little 5-yard dump off, and Bobby would get the tackle. And that's how he amassed about 20 tackles in this game, was because every single time they just posted up right in front of him to get the 5 or 6 yard gain.
And he played very well. Besides all the ones that were like the 5-yard, 6-yard dump off. Credit to Wagner. He's not going to be on. He's not. I don't have him on the inside of the ledger. So just hat tip now. And his blitz was awesome. That was a beautiful sack. He had a couple of nice tackles for a loss. He played really well. And
don't mistake that from me dumping on Bobby.
Oh,
Wagner.
no. I did
Bobby
not.
was there for every, and he didn't miss any of those.
No, he played great.
So he was right on top of it. It's just that it was so frustrating that that's what they had their way with over and over again, and they weren't getting there with the pass rush. So I don't know, maybe drop one of those defensive linemen back a little bit and bracket Henry, so that way they don't have that easy dump off to him every single time.
Yeah, and Henry got 6 receptions, which I think is like that was his best ever, or it's tied for his career high. So it's one thing if Henry goes off and runs on you, and we'll probably talk about some of that later. But it's another thing if you allow him to be like James White all of a sudden too. It's like, wait a second, 6 catches, 50 something yards, so just uncovered. Screens uncovered, tight ends uncovered, the middle of the field just uncovered to the backs. And on the flip side, what I saw less Russ under center, way less misdirection, and barely any action to anybody who wasn't, one of the 3 wide receivers when it came time to pass the ball. So it was very confusing to me. Don't know if there's anything else that came up for you, but I want to ask a question. This team felt markedly different to me. Like we talked about this after game 3 of the preseason, the speed that D. Eskridge brought to the team. It wasn't like, oh, D. Eskridge is going to get all these plays. It was more like, with D. Eskridge, we're really going to free things up. All of a sudden, no D, and it just goes away. Like we can't do misdirection. We can't do, lots of motion. It seemed to be like a not a carbon copy, but a kissing cousin of our 2020 Seahawks for no reason at all to me.
It was weird because it felt like they were moving quickly inside the 2 minutes right before the half. So they had that ability, and Russ was getting rid of the ball quickly, and everything was moving well right there to get that touchdown before going into halftime. So they had the ability to do it. It's just that they stopped doing it in the second half, and that was I don't understand why.
Yeah, me neither. However, you are foreshadowing an in. So why don't we flip the script and get over? There actually was some good stuff on the Raging Yang side. And even in this terrible loss, let's go talk about some good stuff.
Okay, you're just if you're gonna take a drink on every single break, there's like 4 seconds. And so I can
drink
the
it for
intro.
I can drink in 2 seconds.
Fine.
I can name that drink in 2 seconds. That's a game I'll play. So here we go. So you called it earlier. My number one in was that tempo at the end of quarter 2, and specifically 31 yards, 14 seconds on 3 plays, right? Which started with, a little check down right to Homer out of the backfield. And that 2-minute drill really became like a 50-second drill. So that went Homer, Lockett sideline, Swain. We had that Collins draw on 2nd and 2 that went for 25 yards. Love the fact that he gets 1 run for 25 yards and never sees the field again. That seems dumb. And it results in the Carson 1-yard touchdown after the DPI on Lockett in the end zone there, right? The tempo, the pace, the being at the line, and again, what we just talked about was we didn't use the middle of the field, especially in the second half. Well, in this drive, we used all parts of the field, right? So the DPI to Lockett over the middle, the out to Homer. Yep. Not sideline for sure. Not just kind of a little out. The Lockett sideline went, okay, good. Use the sideline. Swain was kind of cutting underneath. Metcalf had a catch on the sideline that time. Collins up the gut for 25. Way more diversified in the second half and with incredible tempo. So I'm still angry. You can hear it in my voice. I could feel it in my body. I'm still angry that we didn't do this all the time, I can reflect and say, okay, if we have a minute and 15 or less to go score a touchdown, clearly we can do that with this team. And that drive was executed to a T. Beautifully done. That's definitely an in.
Yes, and this is what they needed when they were in the fourth quarter. This is what they needed in overtime. They just needed to go up tempo and move the ball down the field. They don't need to be I think Russ sometimes when he has these nice pretty deep throws, I don't know if it gets like locked in his brain that he's like, okay, this is what I need to do. I need to find more of these out here. And he gives up on some of the short stuff. And I felt like he did that in this game. He had the deep pass to Tyler. He had the deep pass to Swain. And then I felt like he was looking at for that like the rest of the game.
I agree, and there's a couple things there. He had that 3rd and 3 to Metcalf. I think it was Q4. That that was one of the ones that was on the long outside of the ledger, like 3rd and 3. 22-yard 50-50 ball to Metcalf. Like what? Why
Right.
is that? And I mean, right away to like hike. Here's the ball. Like that. It was moments like that, and I think. In fact, I know I saw it on Twitter before we logged on here that Coach Carroll kind of called him out and said, I really wish he took the check down to start the overtime series because all we needed was a field goal. And I'm in the same bucket. I'm just like, again, why can't we mimic and mirror what they were doing to us all day long and take some of that? And the thing is, when Russ did take the checkdowns, it freaking worked. We had, and I have one later to talk about. When we did take those, they were there all day. So it just didn't seem like it seemed like a conscious decision. And also when he targets DK, it's like I think he gets like a little extra hype. Like he missed DK high like 3 or 4 times. And again, Russ played pretty darn well. I mean, stat line's good, stat line's gaudy, made some beautiful throws. The ability to just take what's given when in the 3rd or 4th quarter or overtime to seal the deal, that wasn't there. So man, oh man, that's again frustration.
I said it on the recap that for the amount of time that they had it in the second half, they only had the ball for 10 minutes.
Right.
And they needed to either put up one more score or they needed to find a way to move clock and run it out. And they couldn't do either. And that was the most frustrating part of the game for me yesterday.
And what I think, so I might have said earlier, Carson had no targets, but I think he did have one screen, I think, out to him. I believe. I think. I'm not sure.
Him down for any targets.
Okay,
he did not have a great day. I mean, 13 carries, 31 yards.
But 13 carries is not. I mean, okay, but if we stop, great point. And if the Titans stopped running the ball after 13 carries, well, that would have been a different game too. I'm not saying pound the rock into a line where it's not working. I am saying, a little more balance, or just if that's not working, then do what you did with Homer on that tempo drive. Yeah. We're still talking about it in here. We're still on this.
We're still on an in.
Yeah, we're still on this in. So we got more else to talk about. Brandon, I'm not sure if you want to take it to a break when we do the whole thing for the other audience, but let's flip it to an out. I won't even take a drink. Just we'll rock and roll. Now I regret not taking a drink.
Now,
all right.
Now your mouth is dry.
Now my mouth is dry. Okay, we're on the second out here. I'm talking about getting the ball to Carson, so I'm going to be a hypocrite here. 7:42 to go, quarter 3, 24-16. We are nearing midfield, right? So we're just shy of midfield. We already got like incredibly lucky on this drive. By the way, we kind of got lucky all game. Right.
There was a lot of luck in this game.
It was actually mostly falling on our side. And then the dumb penalties that were our penalties, besides the DJ Reed taunting, which is just stupid. But the penalties were ours. Like we're hitting dudes in the face mask. Like, well, guess what? You can't do that for 6+ years now in the NFL. Right. So just look in the mirror. But this particular drive, we got that lucky, I think it was Carson stretch or Lockett stretch where they called it a first down, didn't measure it, just moved the chains. And we hiked it like, okay, we'll take it.
You're going to give us a first down. We'll take it.
So we already had a phantom first down there. And then following that, we had a botched end around to Lockett. Play looked busted. Don't know what happened. Wilson took a weird sack, makes it 2nd and 13. And then it was like a Lockett, like 11-yard near the sideline. Nice out, 11 yards. That 3rd and 2, then they take a timeout, right? Okay, so Seattle takes a timeout. We come out of the timeout. We're crossing half field. That 3rd and 2 to Carson that went for a tackle for a loss, it just drove me bananas. And I love Chris Carson. I just wanted to see, we talked about it like since last year, where is the moment where Russ is going to pull one down? Where's the naked bootleg? Where is getting Russ outside the pocket so he can make kind of a dealer's choice? Like, can I get this with my legs? Can I dump it off to Everett or Disley? Somebody? Nope. It's like the obvious play, handoff to the right side, cornerback crashes down even before the snap. The cornerback starts crashing down. And this was coming out of a timeout. So much so we lost yards, so much so that, I think Pete could have went for it, but we decided to punt there. That play drove me bananas. It was one amongst many where we could have sealed the deal and we failed to do so.
The play drove me bananas. The punt in that situation, I didn't necessarily have a problem with, being up 8 and being where they were in the 3rd quarter. And really because of the number of points that the Titans had scored. Derrick Henry just had his first rushing touchdown, the drive right before that. So he hadn't yet gone off. And so I was thinking, okay, yeah, well, now that you've fallen short there, punt it away. But yeah, that play call there, that was Tennessee knew it was coming, and it was too obvious. That's where my frustration started, I think.
Yeah, you know what? That's where it started.
You nailed the point to where my frustration started in this game in the second half.
Yeah, really started to really be like, oh, is this really happening? And again, I go back to the notion that
I'll take that back. Jordan Brooks on the series.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Which he got benched for a while, right? He took him off the field for several series. And you know what? Sometimes you deserve to ride some pine for a bit. That particular play too, once again, no motion, no nothing, no misdirection. It's like it's not like if we didn't know any better, then we probably wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, like, why are we not in motion? Why are we not why are we not using misdirection? It was 1 week ago where we were like, holy cow, this is what the Waldron offense could look like. This is what it would be like if Russ was in a McVay style offense. Good luck stopping this. And then we stopped ourselves, it seemed to me, by employing a heck of a lot less of what was successful in week 1. And no play was more, what's the word there, representative of that departure than that 3rd and 2. So it's disappointing to come out of a timeout and that be the play. And it's like, again, let Russ get outside. Let Russ use his legs. Let him pull it down one time and go get it himself. And we missed it, man. So anything else for you on that particular one?
I don't know. Yeah, you've got me all bummed out now. It was the first time out of that half too. And the play clock was running down, so they had to take the timeout, if I remember right.
That's fine. That I'm okay with that. We're up big. Take a timeout. Come back out with your banger of all bangers and get the friggin' first down. But no, we come back out. They snap the ball with like 3 seconds to go. So not only did they come out of timeout, they also then ran the play clock down to the point where it makes it easier to understand when you're going to snap the ball too. Like even with, hard counts, et cetera, they narrowed it down to they only got a couple seconds left. I could probably get a good jump here. Just maddening. All right, flip the switch. Let's go. Let's get to something fun. Taking a drink this time. Cover for me.
Just gonna throw it to me like that?
No, I'm back. I just meant for a second or two. All right. We talked about this is an in, and again, they're all frustrating because they're correlated to the things we didn't see the entire time. Early 4th quarter, it's still 24-16, just under about 14 minutes to go. And Seattle, we find ourselves in a 1st and 20 after the Metcalf holding /PI / I don't know how
all the penalties on Metcalf.
All the penalties you could get in one thing. It's 1st and 20. Okay. Screen to Swain goes nowhere. 2nd and 19. The next play is what I want to focus on, where I wrote it down at the time before the next play after. So the very next play, Russ takes the easy 8-yard gain to lock it. He goes out, turns around, the ball's in his gut, he falls forward, and it makes it 3rd and 11. And I know you know what happened on the next play, Brandon. So take it away. What happens on the very next play?
That's where, as Mookie put it, up at field goals, Freddie Swain put on his invisibility cloak, got beyond the defense, and he was off to the races.
Yes. I guess he could only use it once a game, but he broke it out the right ability at the right time. He drank the magic potion, love potion number 9. He's down the field and does a little pirouette, and he's gone for the wide open touchdown. And what it's not that I like being in 3rd and 11, but I really love the fact that it was 2nd and 19, and we got to a spot that was way better because he just took what was freaking in front of him. He just took the easy lock it for 8 yards to then set something up. So it wasn't like, all right, let's run a draw and punt the ball. And it obviously was at that point. Once again, I'm like, okay, this game's over. We got this in the bag after that Swain touchdown. Obviously didn't turn out that way. But I promise you, when it happened, when the 8-yard gain happened before the Swain touchdown, I was still scribbling when I got done with it and I looked up.
Yes, I want that. What they just did. That's what I want.
And then the ball was sailing to Swain by the time I looked back up because I was scribbling in real time. So that to me was big, that when we did take what was there, we were hyper effective.
So I know you don't like me to choreograph or guess outs ahead of time.
That's okay.
But I'm a little bit surprised that, or maybe it's coming, the out to Tyler Lockett for not getting down 1 yard sooner. So it could have been a 69-yard touchdown.
Because that would have, I think Tyler did
back. Go every single game with 69-yard touchdown.
Right. I think Tyler did that because
Tyler ruined that.
He knows that he had the lead, right? He had that. So he wanted to keep that and not give it to Swain. So Swain had to get to 68 so he could stay top dog for the year so far. Because he knew
Tyler had such a good game. And then on top of that, he's taking it to the next level and making sure that he has the longest touchdown of the season by getting just that one more yard that he needed there, knowing that Swain was going to get the touchdown on the next play.
And one thing you bring up Lockett, besides being an absolute favorite of mine, one thing that I find myself really listening to every single week is his press conference. He seems to be like, if you could say what kind of dude has a career as a coach, he to me seems like the guy that gets the whole thing and gets it from a macro level of that it is a system, that things move together. And if one piece is broken, you've got to figure out other ways to do things. And he's not shy about it either. He's I don't want to call it polite. He's professional and he can deliver his point without throwing people under the bus, but he's not shy to say what's on his mind about deficiencies. So I would just encourage Seahawks fans out there that if you're not listening to Lockett post-game stuff, I think it's one of the most well thought out and insightful pieces that we get every single week, win, lose, or draw. I just think he's in that mindset that I think that dude's going to be a coach one of these years. Hopefully like in 12 more years.
Did you watch the video too?
No, I didn't watch the video.
Like in a sensei gi almost in the post-game press conference.
Wow, I didn't see
what
that.
It was pretty smooth though.
Yeah, well, that just makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, he's a poet and he knows it, right? He does lots of stuff. So the gushing for Tyler will continue. He's second in the league right now in yards. He has 3 touchdowns. He's off to an amazing start, and hopefully, he keeps at it, and he could just have a true WR1 year and be like a top 5 guy for the year. So, loving Lockett. We've got another out to get to. Why don't you hit the thing? I'll do the thing. I'll meet you on the other side. All right.
Okay. What are you drinking? Is that a Fanta?
This is a Fanta. I wish. I don't know if folks could see. There it is. There it is.
Living the high life.
That's it. Living the high life. It's 6:15 on a Monday somewhere right here. So after a Seahawks loss. So there were a lot of other outs that I'm not going to go into. I will just mention briefly Damian Lewis, false start, killer. Flowers. I know people are like, oh, you can't leave Flowers 1-to-1 on Henry. And, maybe that's Adams' fault for jumping inside. Maybe. But to
I
not
put that on Flowers.
to
I
not
think
get
it's fair to put that on
to
Flowers.
not get a hand on him. And like, I realize Henry is bigger and even faster and quicker than he looks on TV. And I understand the dude's all world. So I get all that. Still, if you force him to the outside, well, then it's probably a 10-yard or 12-yard or 8-yard run. You get help with Diggs and you just push him out of bounds. He just lets him go up the middle. I'm like, oh my gosh, what a horrible angle. Knowing that what Adams did, I'm like, it just didn't equate to me. I was like, I saw lots of people saying that's not on Flowers. I'm like, I think it is. All right, but it's not Flowers. It is not. We talked about the third and 3 to Metcalf. That was a 50-50 ball. We talked about that. We're not talking Jamal's late hit.
How many outs are you going to fit into this out, Clinton?
A lot. It's deserving. Not Jordan Brooks. We talked about that. It is 3 and 3 outs. I feel like the only show where you're going to get some of these things is right here. I said earlier in the preseason that I did not like DJ Dallas returning kickoffs. He does not have the bursts for a kickoff guy. He just doesn't have it. He's not that kind of fast. Kickoff guys, get the ball, go straight, make one cut, make two dudes miss, and then you have the ability to take it to the house. That's what a kickoff guy has to go do. Trey Brown can do it. D. Eskridge could do it. They're both hurt. I get it. Freddie Swain, he's not that quick.
I think Freddie Swain could do it better, though.
Better.
The thing that we missed in this game was you say get the ball and go north and south.
I mean,
he wasn't getting the ball. It was
get the ball
on the ground before
right.
He would pick it up. And so by the time that it hit the ground and he was in control of the football, everybody was there. It led to a terrible field position. You have to either, it's fine if you want to stand on the 5-yard line and let it go over your head and then not have a return. That's fine. But to stand in the end zone and wait for it to hit the ground on the 5 or the 10-yard line and run up and catch it off the bounce, it's going to lead to terrible field position. And that's what happened.
Yeah. And one time it kind of bounced off his chest. The one to the sideline, it was 6-3. That's actually a really good kickoff, right? Like, so credit to if you could place a kickoff where it's like, I can't let this bounce because it might not go out of bounds. And then it's a live ball. Totally get that. But that goes off his chest. He fields it not cleanly. But the other one you're talking about, again, 24-16. This is after Henry's 9-yard touchdown run. They're starting to get momentum back. And he just kind of does like a little pitter patter and just lets it drop. And it takes a big, northward bounce. And it's like 2 more seconds by the time he gets it and starts going north on the field. And he's corralled 4 yards later. It's like crappy field position again. So I'm just, to me, I know there's lots of other things that people may gravitate towards. I don't know, man. You're a kickoff guy. Your job is to go run up, catch the freaking ball, and go, that way, whatever that way is, as quickly as you possibly can. He failed to do it. He's taking a big O. If there's a doghouse that I could have, he's sitting in it right now. I'm not happy with him. All right. Okay.
I didn't need to say anymore. That was
all good.
Fine.
It's all good.
You're looking at me like, oh, you're just
you got to it. You got to, yeah. Next time, give me a little one of these so I know if I got a little time for the the liquid sugar. All right. So, Brandon, there's one more in. There's one more guy that I love to talk about when he does things. He's up front. He's a giant man. We have a nickname.
A man with arms.
Yeah. A man with
arms. That are the size of most people's thighs.
Correct. So 7:20 to go, quarter 4, 30-23. This is after the series, you're after the DJ Reed taunting, as we put it in quotations, taunting. Mayoa makes a great tackle for a loss on Henry. He beats his dude. He sets up like a 2nd and 10 plus. And yes, that is a tackle for a loss. Should be at least, counted that way. And then it is old thigh arms. He busts through. I think it's the left guard, bullies the man, just pushes him back into Tannehill's face, gets his thigh arm up around Tannehill and gets him down for a huge sack. Then it leads to the 3rd and long, and then they end up having that 4th and 2 play where Hyder has a great play on the 4th and 2, and Tannehill's almost getting sacked. And then we got the ball back. We're getting momentum. We're going to win this ball game. And it would have been on, the honor of thigh arms to seal the deal there. Didn't work out quite that way, but I got to give the love to Al Woods and thigh arms for that huge, timely sack.
If things go differently, the Seahawks come out with the win. That is one of the plays that it all hinges back toward the Seahawks' favor on. And I knew it when it happened too, that you were going to be excited about that one.
I was.
And Woods had a big day in terms of Pro Football Focus. He was the number 3 ranked player on the Seahawks defense. He and Bobby Wagner both each had 7 stops each.
Yeah.
And that's unusual for a defensive lineman. That's normal for Bobby Wagner. But yes, 7 stops. Al Woods had 6 tackles. You mentioned the 1 sack. He had 2 quarterback hurries. So he was one of the few guys getting after the quarterback. It was him and Kerry Hyder. The 2 of them each had 3 total pressures. That's not good enough for the entire team. Those are your 2 guys. Man, where was the pressure in this game? Oh, we're on an in.
No, that's okay. I do want to, before we get to we don't have a brand in.
Al Woods having the in for an awesome game should not be. He should not be leading the team in pressure.
We don't have the NBC, we don't have the branding. We just got from the flock, and we're about at the half an hour mark. So we got a little time to ramble here. I saw some of the stats, the play share later, like Dunlap didn't really play a lot. Alton Alton, he barely got snaps. Taylor didn't get a lot of snaps. It's like, again, it's a little bit head scratching. Robinson's been really productive with the time he's gotten. I kind of thought after week 1, seeing the splits being like, ooh, like when he was in, he was really, really productive, that he would have gotten a little bit more love. He didn't get, so Dunlap went down, but Robinson didn't go up. So it was a little weird to me. Like, we're talking about where was the pressure? Okay, we did get 3 sacks. Didn't feel consistent. It just Tannehill had more time than I wanted him to have. So I don't know, like, did you read anything else yet about why was Dunlap's share down? Why didn't Robinson get more time? Why didn't Taylor get more time? Anything coming up for you?
No, that's going to be something that I look for on the Monday press conference from Pete Carroll to hear if that comes up, because your 2 guys who were leading the team in snaps on the defensive line, you had Benson Mayowa on the left side, 57 snaps, Rasheem Green on the right side, 56. And you had Kerry Hyder with 51, that's fine. But for Carlos Dunlap, only 26 snaps.
Weird, right?
And he was nowhere to be seen in this game. Kim Dichie, 36 snaps. And, we saw him a little, but that was a surprise to me, especially Dunlap and Taylor after Taylor's nice game that he had last week. Whoever was out there, though, for them to not have Taylor Lewan in the lineup, for them to essentially lose their entire left side of their offensive line,
goes down, right? Yeah,
goes down, and they still can't get any pressure on that left side.
Yeah, that's it was lacking, and one of the reasons we took the L on this one, and then if there was a poll up there, I saw lots of talk about, well, who do you actually blame for the loss? It's like, well, we didn't play great in all 3 phases. However, and if I had to choose one, to me, it's the offense. And I understand, like, well, you put up 30, then you should this. Yeah, sure. Totally get that. And we had 24 at halftime. So, and we had good field position despite poor kickoff returns, because we had 4th down stops. We had a missed field goal. I mean, right there, you had a missed field goal and a 4th down stop where you're starting at like the 30 something yard line 2 times, and you're not capitalizing. So no, to me, this one is on the offense. Has got to finish when we have the opportunity to finish. Didn't do it. I realize the defense is taking some of the blame here, but to me, this is on the O, man. You've got to be able to finish a game like this. We're talking about a field goal. We get a field goal sometime in the 4th quarter, we win this game, and not able to do it. So frustrating.
I think when you can't really pinpoint whether it's on the offense or the defense or on special teams, then the answer is coaching. You put this on the coaches.
Could be Rabbit. Could be. I'm with you. So we'll learn more. And again, we're 1-1. Of course, the rest of the division winning. In the Colts game was good. That was a good game. Colts hung tough. Although I don't know why Frank Reich and who's the Eagles coach now?
Sirianni.
Sirianni. Okay. Why? Let me ask you this. When did it become not cool early in a game to take 3 points? At what point in the NFL history was it like, we don't need 3 points. It's totally fine. We're just going to go for it. Like, when did that become a thing where 3 points just somehow didn't matter? Because I can tell you what, if Frank Reich kicks a couple of freaking field goals and Sirianni does the same thing,
yeah,
probably a loss for the Niners, probably a loss to the Rams, but nope, they got to they're allergic to field goals. I don't get it. It just doesn't sit well with me.
I know it's frustrating when you get down there and you have a big play that gets you inside the 10-yard line and you just have play after play where you can't get it in and you're like, okay, we're going to do it on 4th down. We're finally going to get it. And then you get stopped. Yeah. When you have a 4th and 5, I think it was for the Eagles against the San Francisco 49ers defense, which is pretty good.
Yeah. Still good D. Yeah.
And it wasn't like they were targeting their defensive backs who aren't the greatest. They were running at them on 4th down. They were trying to do a misdirection, but they have all kinds of speed on that 49ers defense. What are you doing? So, yeah, and rather than go up 6-0, they end up down, or then it's 3-0. The Eagles defense is good, but you don't need to be trying to. I'm as frustrated as you were.
But that's when it would have been 6-0, right? And then they gave up the late touchdown right before the half, right? So they goes to the half 7-3 Niners. Like, what's wrong with, especially in the first half?
Controlled that entire first half.
Yes, exactly. You controlled the entire first half. Yes, I understand 6-0 is not the coolest score, and 10 certainly sounds better, but you dominated. They have a goose egg. Just kick the freaking field goal. So it's very frustrating to me. Speaking of field goals, I do feel like the Vikings miss was, somehow the ghost of Blair Walsh coming back to bite us in the ass. Right. So just the entire NFC West squeaking by and us squeaking out with our loss. It's like you had 3 teams that maybe didn't deserve to win, and you had us who didn't deserve to win. And yet we're the ones looking up in the basement now, but 15 more weeks to go. We get those Vikings next week. We'll see how it goes. We still
Did you not just feel a little bit better though when the Chiefs lost and you're like, okay, well, Seahawks and Chiefs, we're both 1-1.
The Bills are 1-1. The Chiefs are 1-1. The Seahawks, that all makes sense. That's all. Fine. That's where all the really cool kids are 1-1. It's just you get that loss out of the way now.
Now all these teams can go on a tear.
Yeah, now we could tear it up. Now we could win our next, 13 out of 15 and head into the playoffs as the 1 seed. So I just hope that we're not looking back at this as like the Giants game from last year. If we win that freaking Titans game, we're the 1 seed, which was the same thing with the Giants game last year that we somehow freaking didn't, couldn't get a handle on. So
we got to bring up the Giants game. I don't want to hear about it. We're moving on.
Good. Hit the button. Yeah, there we go. All right. We got one more section left. We got From the Flock. Before we do hit it, Brandon, why don't you tell the good folks of the Seahawks multiverse how the heck they can get involved with the flock, all the content you're putting out, and the ways in which they can interact with us.
Yeah, if you want to be a part of the flock, you can go to patreon.com/flock and you can get in our Discord. We have a 3-in, 3-out Discord where you leave your ins, leave your outs. We have a game day chat thread going on throughout the game. So yeah, if you want to hang out, watch the game and talk about it and really feel the community around the show, just as you're watching the game, it's a lot of fun. Patreon.com/flock. And what else? You gave me a big long list of things that I'm supposed to run down.
Oh, well,
subscribe to the show, sbnation.com/NFL podcast on YouTube. Now that we're doing it live on YouTube, subscribe. Yeah, it's on the Seahawkers podcast channel. And we got video, so you can come and you can watch us live.
Yeah. You're going to see, pretty much live.
Video.
It's fairly live. You'll get to see me pounding high lifes to drain my Seahawk sorrow. However, the flock is amazing. Totally worth your money. Get in the flock. Do it already. And I'm going to start with an in because because it was the first one that showed up in the Discord, and I just cropped it out. But this is from Beast Mode 24, Christopher, all the way from Germany. Earlier in the game, he says in for Collier, big QB hit on second down, possibly saving a touchdown. Collier didn't
And
show
we
up.
never saw Collier again.
Right, exactly. It didn't show up too much, but he did have that early play, which was a nice play. So he sends the into Collier, and we haven't said his name all year. So huzzah.
Henrik Hoxson comes in out to DK for pushing the defender into Swain, forcing a holding call on top. Calm down.
Yeah. DK had not a great game is what it boils down to. And it's not because of this, just the stat line, but it's the stat line plus the things that are like, if the attitude is not met with production, then people could sour on you quickly. I predict big things versus the Vikings. I predict the bounce back versus the Vikes. We'll see if we get there. We got Carr also with the out. She says to the stupid rule that doesn't allow celebrating touchdowns.
What's weird though is that Michael Pruitt, I think he's a tight end for the Titans. I felt like he was just as demonstrative as DK, and like he was getting away with everything.
Yeah. I mean, maybe DK's got a rep now. Maybe he's earned a little bit of a rep, and the pacifier, the hair, and getting some penalties the weeks before, or maybe he's become a bit of a target out there, saying, "Hey, you got to watch 14. He's the reason we put these dumb rules in place." I don't know. I'm not sure.
And you can celebrate touchdowns. It's just you can't celebrate in a taunting way, which the one play that keeps coming to mind to me, well, maybe it'll come up here, but DJ Reed getting up and, celebrating the incomplete pass. And it was, I guess, too close to the defender while he was on the ground that it was perceived by the officials to be taunting and worthy of a flag somehow.
It's just trash. I think it might've been Jamal Adams who was talking about this in his post-game interview when he said something like, basically regulating and taking the emotion out of football players is stupid. Like, okay, we can't go head hunting. Everybody gets that. You can't hit you in the head. You make a big clean play and you get up and you do a little flex, and you're getting back to the huddle and you're flagged for it. It's just dumb. When you build a house on sand, you're only building higher and higher dumb things. We're pretty much at the apex of stupidity. It's going to come crashing down. It'll reverse sometime, but we got to deal with it for this year.
Decaf Metcalf fan club says in Jordan Brooks being able to affect the game and get a penalty without even being on the field. Early penalty called on 56 while the offense was out there. And yeah, I don't think we ever figured out who exactly that was. Probably a lineman. But
yeah, was funny. Was definitely getting a chuckle out of that. That's when things were going well, when we had fun. And this too, Gene Bow in the Discord said aggressive play calling before the half, even when winning. We talked about that as one of the ins, and then actually I just laid in there too. Frost was talking about perfect tempo, same type of thing. He was talking about the idea of the efficient passing and getting enough to keep the chains moving, get out of bounds, and the mix and the play to Collins. He's talking about everything we went over there too. So people in the Discord were very much grooving on the same idea of that being a perfectly tempoed, effective drive.
And Schmick at Mickey Swank on Twitter, he was mind melding with me on this, giving the out, allowing 3 straight checkdowns in a row on this drive for 2 first downs to let them into field goal range at the 2-minute warning. And yeah, it was infuriating to see what they continued to do, and they didn't have any kind of answer for it.
No answers at all. Derek Williamson, Derek W. I think it's an O. So DEREKWO out on Twitter. He's been following for quite a while. Good dude.
Might be 0. It might
be a 0. Try it 2 ways. So it could be a 0. But he says he's given the inconsistency out to Flowers, and I wasn't too perturbed about Flowers covering. I know it wasn't spectacular. However, I've seen enough of Flowers covering people, and it's like, all right, if he's a half a stride behind Julio Jones and Jones makes a good play,
the ball is placed
right.
Really well. Yeah,
right. It's like
there were quite a few of those where
AJ Brown drops.
Right.
Brown dropped 2 or 3 that should have been caught. That were really good passes by Tannehill. When I said we got lucky, it wasn't just, some calls that went our way. There were some drops they had too. However, I hear what Derek's saying. He puts the inconsistency on Flowers and gives him an out. So for me, it was more egregious that I thought, took a terrible angle on that long rumble by King Henry there.
Nils H. N. Hearton on Twitter says, hey, me again for the first time. Well, at least for this season. In first half, Waldron, out, second half, Shoddy at play call. Damn, how can you manage a 2-score game like that? Best from Germany. Go Hawks. Next time.
Yeah. Thanks, Niels. We next time is right. Next time, 6 more days. Let's get at it when we cruise out to Minnesota and just have to win that game now. It becomes
Shoddy sneak in at halftime and swap out playbooks and
all the bad play book, the bad play calls, right? So that's
he's like, oh gosh, I can't find my playbook from the first half. I put it around here. It's at halftime somewhere, and then somebody runs from the upstairs down to him. Yeah. Oh, we had this one stashed away upstairs from last season. He's like, oh, I guess I have to use this one.
What I'm looking forward to, and also don't want to see it all because I'm fearful of what I might find out. I mean, it's like if you don't like the answers, don't ask the question. I'm looking forward to a little Matty F. Brown type breakdown when he's looking, because he does a nice job of that on Twitter every week. I'm sure he's going to call some things out where it's like, hey, the player was there, like Swain was over the middle, Everett was there, Russ chose the outside 50-50 ball. Russ chose this. It's what I expect to see. And as much as I want to digest this information to understand it fully, I'm a little fearful for what we're going to find out. I think that's what we're going to see, but we'll see. We'll see in the coming days when the All-22 comes out, and I will work through it, Brandon. So
you're gonna try and work your way up to trying to seek out that content.
Yes, exactly correct. And in the meantime, we do have Delwyn all the way from Australia. Tried to get that right. Not a Foster's, but Australia. The Inn actually getting a quick playoff and not giving the opposition time to review the challenge on an iffy spot. That's the one I think it was Carson we talked about, the third down stretch. We get up, we run another play, and away we go. Good call, though, by the way. I was like, hike the ball. Don't even care if you ground it. Just hike the freaking ball.
This kind of shows you some of the differences in coaching, though, too, because, Pete Carroll would have challenged that, and he always loses spot challenges. So it was probably smart of Rabel to go ahead and not challenge it.
I don't know. That looked like he was about 3/4 of a yard short.
Looked like he was short. Yes.
He was as close to, as Vinny Testaverde scoring that touchdown against our Hawks that time, or Roethlisberger in the stupid Super Bowl, right? So, all right, take the next out. Take it away.
Jimbo in the Discord says, out how we play in the third quarter. Ugh.
Yeah, disgusting. Again, I contend we played one quarter very, very well. We didn't play overtime well. We did not play well in the first quarter for the most part. Third quarter was atrocious. Fourth quarter was abominable. Second quarter was lovely. So Jeremy,
one good one.
Yeah, it was a great one. Jeremy Evergreen in Bobby Wagner's third down sack. He looked like he was a heat-seeking missile on that play. Oh, man. And I loved his little, I don't know how to describe his celebration, but he kind of got all he kind of did like a mini Frank the Tank. He got all like a cannonball and just kind of pumped it up and fisted it out there. That was a beautiful sack. Lovely timing. Exactly, drawn up very, very well schematically, and then you let an all-world guy just go do all-world things. Fired up. Love that sack.
The out from Jeremy, going back to the wide receiver bubble screen too often when we are already in second or third and long. Our wide receivers aren't good at blocking.
It didn't look that way, right? And also there was a couple times where the one to Swain, it was, I forget which one it was. There was another one later in the game. Yeah. Oh, it was to Everett where he gets chopped down. There was a wide receiver screen to Everett, I think third quarter, where
one time that Everett touched the ball in the entire game.
Yeah. And he gets it's not even like he's like a little out, and it looks like it's supposed to be like a tight end screen. And then if you go back and watch it, Disley is out to get the ball, and Swain is out on running a route also. It's like they got 3 dudes there. And Everett, no one's blocking. Not one of them. It's really, really weird. Nobody's blocking. They're all just out there on they're separated by about 2 yards a pop, all longitudinally, if that's correct. Horizontal to one another. It's And you see Swain watches the play happen. He just goes like, puts his hands up and goes, what happened there? I had the same freaking question, Freddie. What happened there, dude? I'm not sure. I am sure about
they need to work out the timing on these blocks because DK was blocking too early. And not only was he blocking too early, he decided to hold. Twice. And then the other guys just aren't even blocking at all.
Yeah, and it's juxtaposed. Now I get it. Listen, this is week 2 of a brand new offense where we didn't run a lot of this stuff. Okay, I get that, and I can be patient with that kind of stuff because I'm not thick brained. I understand this. However, I did watch a lot of the Rams Colts game, and watching them execute the Cooper Kupp screens like perfection. Just every single
this game from the Titans.
Yeah, well, yes, exactly. We had our issues defending it and executing them, whereas other teams are just running it at will. So we did have Kenneth Reyes, another out. 100 yards of penalties is not how we are going to win games. Kenneth, what can I say besides that math seems to check out?
An out from CJKO4 in the Discord, out trying to go for kill shots to end the game early instead of sustaining drives and using the intermediate game like we did last week.
Yep, we talked that's pretty much the theme of this show. So, CJK, I don't got my peepers on. That's exactly right. We're going to end on a streak of outs, I believe, unfortunately, but
it's a very long streak of outs.
How else can you end this week, right? So we had a right hand Dan in the Discord out. Punt special teams. He's talking about Dixon flying the ball into the end zone a couple times. Then the 46-yarder was not his best. He's talking about the DJ muff. He's talking about the giving up 10 yards here and there when it mattered. Right hand Dan, you're right on the money, man. Circle takes the square at that one. We got 2 more outs. Hang with us. I promise you, they're worth it.
Daniil out, DK with little positive plays and a whole lot of penalties.
Yep. And we'll finish on this one because it's just proper. Hector Mark goes by DK's Deltoids, out, losing a winnable game in the home opener. We don't mean to be cynical. We don't mean to be, Debbie Downers. However, we got to face this one. You got to face this one, suck it up, get through it, realize the mistakes, get better quickly, and get ready to go beat the Vikings to get back on that raging Yang side. So I will say,
Clinton, I heard too many people for the Seahawks in the post game, just kind of, I feel like taking it for granted that up as many points as they were. I heard more than one guy say, we usually win these games. It's like, well, yeah, because you have to go out there though and give the effort to win the game. You can't just expect the team to roll over or the crowd noise to be so loud that that somehow the other team just decides to give up. No, you have to continue to play and be aggressive. Like it's just not going to happen because that's how it always happens.
Right. That's how it's. Yeah. That's like if we know anything about humanity, it's that things just stay consistent the entire time. Nothing
changes ever.
Nothing ever changes. If you were good last year, you're good this year. If you're good 6 years ago or 8 years ago, well, heck, you still got the Legion of Boom. It's just not the case, right? So, yes, are we used to winning close games? Of course. Do we routinely play well at home? Yes, we do. But guess what? The thrill of the 12s, I'm not saying the thrill is gone because from a fan perspective, it's amazing. But the home field advantage, it ain't what it was, is the bottom line. For a couple of years now, folks have, and throw the COVID year out the window, but for a couple of years now, folks have come up to the Pacific Northwest and walked out of our house with W's when they had no right earning that W, but we let them do it. So that's going to be a big thing this year. Now, one thing I will say, perhaps in a year where we have 9 road games and 8 home games, maybe it's actually in our favor.
Oh, gosh. Well, we can sure hope so.
We can sure hope so. All right, Brandon, why don't we close this bad boy out? It was fun. It was an entertaining game. It was a disastrous ending. And we gotta eat it, understand it, get freaking fired up because in 6 short days, we'll be back out there versus the Purple People Eaters because we got to get back on the right side, get that W, and get to 2-1.
And I think with that, Clinton,
only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks. Cheers, dudes.
Cheers.